When you talk to people, they're always interested in their own history. They're always interested in what happened around them.
History is relevant to you in the present. This is something that can be explained and can be produced in a way that it's interesting and entertaining.
Riches is the regional initiative for collecting the history, experiences, and stories of Central Florida. And it's an umbrella program or initiative that was intended to incorporate projects that focus on the history of Central Florida.
People say to me sometimes, well, you know, Florida really doesn't have a history. It's as if it all appeared day before yesterday, when in fact that's not true. We have the oldest and richest history, and we want people to understand that.
And so our goal was to bring together projects that were already happening in the community, projects that we could begin in our classrooms, and research projects that would focus on various aspects of Central Florida's history and tell the diverse stories of its peoples.
Everything starts at Home Movie Day itself, when people from the community come in and bring their films, and the people who come in will donate their films in some cases, and we at UCF have promised them digital copies in exchange for their donated film.
I've always had an interest, a personal interest in home movies. They really take you into the past in a way that no Hollywood film, no professionally made giant narrative film can. They're very honest, they're very direct, they're unproduced, they're like snapshots.
See, I think film and footage in general is incredibly valuable, whether it's your grandmother's birthday or whether it's World War II.
I think they come in thinking they're going to look at one or two of their roles and leave. They never do. They come into the room, they start watching other people's movies, and they become increasingly engaged in other people's films. And then when they're watching their own films, often they're brought to tears. They're very moved by it. Sometimes they're moved by something in someone else's film. What I think the most surprising thing to me was what living documents these things actually were.
We have one of the largest veteran populations in the country living in Florida, and many of them are in Central Florida. With the Veterans History Project, what we're doing is students are going out and they're learning how to interview veterans, and then those stories will be digitized and available through our website. We're creating an archive, a digital archive of the stories we collect that have to do with Central Florida. And in that case, what we're doing is we're planning to give a subset of that collection to the Library of Congress.
That's why this project is so important. We are hearing directly from those individuals who have been involved in the experience of serving either in combat or whatever their experience might have been.
Here is a town that is created in an area that was not very well developed at the time, and it had real relationships nationally and internationally that were important in its time and remain important. I'm always surprised to find those multiple connections, the layer upon layer upon layer of connections that I didn't always expect. And there's a tendency to think about those who are farmers and those who live in the South in particular as being isolated. And as you begin to peel away the layers, you see how connected this part of the country was with the rest of the country.
To understand the way in which the region has developed economically, politically, it's important to collect some of these stories. So I think there are multiple levels in which they can be very important. One is just to know the personal stories and to understand who we are in terms of our own families and our neighbors. And then the other is to understand where we're at as a region.
The emerging technology is really important to this project. It allows us to do things, to make connections that are very hard to do in print. but sometimes you can do it very quickly with the new technology.
We're offering the ability to link geography and time together with advanced multimedia capabilities and simulation technology.
We are in the process of taking all of these individual projects and putting them together and making them available to the public through an interactive internet site that we are creating that we call Central Florida Mosaic Interface. And that site will enable people to access this information using maps and a timeline and filtering for what kind of information that they want.